What happens when a decorated general's peaceful retirement is shattered by ghosts from her classified past? How does Mary Thompson's quiet garden life transform into a deadly chess game with state secrets? And when a conspiracy she witnessed decades ago resurfaces, how does this seasoned warrior find herself fighting the most dangerous battle of her career? This is the story of General Mary Thompson, a tale of how a retired military legend's tranquil golden years explode into a nightmare of government cover-ups, how buried secrets claw their way to the surface, and how a 68-year-old woman must use every ounce of her strategic genius to survive a conspiracy that reaches the highest levels of power. General Mary Thompson had earned her stars the hard way. 35 years of military service, from the deserts of Iraq to the mountains of Afghanistan, from Pentagon briefing rooms to classified operations that officially never existed. She was a pioneer, one of the first women to break through the military's glass ceiling and reach the rank of brigadier general. Her peers respected her tactical brilliance. Her subordinates would follow her into hell, and her enemies learned to fear the woman who could outthink them 3 moves ahead. But that was the old Mary. The new Mary, retired for 3 years now, was supposed to be enjoying her golden years in a cozy house in Virginia, tending to her rose garden and reading mystery novels. She had traded her combat boots for gardening gloves, her strategic war maps for seed catalogs. Peace at last, or so she thought. It was a crisp October morning when Mary's carefully constructed tranquility came crashing down. She was pruning her prize-winning roses when the doorbell rang. Standing on her porch was a woman in her 30s, nervous energy radiating from every pore. "General Thompson, my name is Sarah Chun. I'm an investigative journalist with the Washington Herald. I need to talk to you about Operation Nightfall." Mary's blood turned to ice. Operation Nightfall, a name she hadn't heard in 22 years. A classified mission that was supposed to be buried so deep that even she sometimes wondered if it had been a nightmare. "I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about," Mary said, her voice steady despite the alarm bells screaming in her head. Sarah pulled out a manila folder. "General, I have documents, photos, audio recordings. Operation Nightfall involved arms dealing, money laundering, and murder. And according to my sources, you were the only witness who survived." Mary's mind raced. How did this young journalist get classified information? Who was feeding her these details? And most importantly, why now? "Come inside," Mary said quietly. "But understand this, whatever you think you know about Nightfall, you're playing with forces that have killed to keep these secrets buried." Sarah Chun had been investigating defense contractor corruption for months when she stumbled upon references to Operation Nightfall in leaked Pentagon documents. The operation, conducted in 1999, involved a joint CIA military intelligence mission to intercept illegal arms sales to terrorist organizations. But according to the documents, something had gone horribly wrong. "General, my sources tell me that during Nightfall, you witnessed high-ranking officials taking bribes from arms dealers. Officials who are still in power today. One of them is now the Secretary of Defense." Mary felt the room spin. Defense Secretary Richard Hawthorne, her former commanding officer, her mentor, the man who had championed her rise through the ranks. The same man who had personally assured her that the Nightfall incident would never see the light of day. "Sarah, you don't understand what you're messing with. The people involved in Nightfall have the power to make problems disappear. Permanently." But Sarah was determined. "General, 3 people have already died trying to expose this. A military contractor named James Rodriguez was found dead in his hotel room last month, supposed suicide. A CIA analyst named Patricia Williams died in a car accident 2 weeks ago. And yesterday, a Pentagon insider named Michael Foster had a heart attack at age 34. Mary's combat instincts kicked in. 3 deaths, all connected to people who might have known about Nightfall. This wasn't coincidence. This was cleanup. "Sarah, whoever is behind this is systematically eliminating anyone who might talk. You're not just investigating a story. You're painting a target on your back." But Mary realized something else. She was next on the list. That evening, Mary's house was under surveillance. She spotted them immediately. Two black SUVs parked on neighboring streets, occupants pretending to read newspapers while watching her every move. These weren't amateurs. These were professionals. Mary activated skills she hadn't used in years. She checked her weapons, a service pistol she kept locked in a safe, and a combat knife hidden in her bedroom. She examined her house's security, mapping escape routes and defensive positions. The suburban grandmother was transforming back into the warrior general. Her phone rang. Unknown number. General Thompson, this is a courtesy call. Drop the Nightfall investigation and enjoy your retirement. You've earned it. The voice was electronically distorted, but Mary detected something familiar in the cadence. Someone she knew. Who is this? Someone who has great respect for your service record. Don't force us to add a tragedy to your legacy. The line went dead. Mary stared at the phone, her mind analyzing every word. The threat was clear: cooperate or die. But Mary Thompson hadn't survived 3 decades in the military by backing down from bullies. The next morning, Mary contacted Sarah Chun. We need to meet. But not at my house, it's being watched. They met at a busy coffee shop in downtown D.C. Mary arrived first, using her military training to scan for threats. Sarah arrived 20 minutes later, visibly shaken. General, my apartment was broken into last night. Nothing was stolen, but my computer was accessed. They copied everything. Mary leaned forward. Sarah, I'm going to tell you something that could get us both killed. But first, you need to understand what really happened during Operation Nightfall. Mary began her story, her voice low and urgent. In 1999, she was a colonel assigned to a joint task force investigating illegal arms sales. The mission was to infiltrate a meeting between corrupt Pentagon officials and international arms dealers. We had intelligence that someone high up in the Defense Department was selling classified weapons technology to the highest bidder. My job was to observe and document. The meeting took place in a warehouse in Baltimore. Mary was positioned as a sniper, watching through her scope as the deal went down. She saw Defense Secretary Hawthorne, then a Pentagon deputy, accepting a briefcase full of cash from a known arms dealer. But then something went wrong. The arms dealer tried to blackmail Hawthorne, demanding more money. Hawthorne gave a signal, and suddenly the dealer was shot by one of Hawthorne's men. Mary had witnessed a murder committed by people who were supposed to be defending the country. But when she reported it, she was told the mission never happened. The official record was destroyed. The arms dealer's death was blamed on rival criminals. Hawthorne called me into his office the next day. He told me I had 2 choices: forget what I saw and continue my career, or face a court-martial for revealing classified information. I chose silence. But now, 22 years later, someone was trying to expose the truth. And Hawthorne, now the Secretary of Defense, was willing to kill to keep his secrets buried. Sarah, we're not just fighting corruption. We're fighting a conspiracy that goes to the top of the government. Sarah showed Mary new evidence she had uncovered. Financial records showing suspicious payments to offshore accounts. Photos of Hawthorne meeting with known arms dealers. Audio recordings of conversations discussing cleanup operations. General, I think they're planning something bigger than just covering up an old crime. These weapons sales have been going on for years. Hawthorne has been using his position to sell American military technology to anyone willing to pay. Mary studied the evidence with a strategist's eye. The pattern was clear. This wasn't just about Nightfall. It was about an ongoing conspiracy that threatened national security. Sarah, we need to get this information to someone we can trust. But first, we need to survive long enough to do it. That night, Mary's house was attacked. 3 men in black tactical gear breached her front door at 2 a.m. But they weren't dealing with a helpless retiree. They were facing a combat veteran who had been preparing for this moment. Mary had turned her house into a fortress. Motion sensors, reinforced doors, and strategic positioning gave her every advantage. When the attackers entered, she was ready. The first man through the door walked into a tripwire that activated a flashbang grenade, a little souvenir from her military days. Blinded and disoriented, he was easy prey for Mary's combat knife. The second attacker tried to flank her through the kitchen, but Mary had anticipated this. She used her dining room table as cover. firing precisely with her service weapon. Her military marksmanship training hadn't deteriorated with age. The third attacker was the smart one. He retreated and called for backup. Mary knew she had minutes before reinforcements arrived. She grabbed her go bag, always packed, always ready, and escaped through her basement tunnel, a Cold War-era fallout shelter that connected to her neighbor's property. The suburban general had vanished into the night. Mary contacted Sarah from a secure location. "They came for me. We're out of time. General, I've been thinking about what you said. If Hawthorne is willing to kill to protect his secrets, we need to expose everything at once. Total information warfare." Mary smiled grimly. "Sarah, you're thinking like a strategist. What do you have in mind?" Sarah's plan was audacious. Simultaneous release of all evidence to multiple news outlets, congressional investigators, and intelligence agencies. Create such a media firestorm that Hawthorne couldn't silence everyone. "But, General, we need one more piece of evidence. Something that directly connects Hawthorne to recent crimes." Mary knew where to find it. "Sarah, I'm going to do something that will either expose this conspiracy or get us both killed. I'm going to confront Hawthorne directly." Mary arranged to meet Defense Secretary Hawthorne at the Pentagon. She told him she was ready to discuss old times, a coded message that would get his attention. Hawthorne agreed to meet, probably thinking he could intimidate or eliminate the old general. But Mary had a secret weapon. Sarah Chun was watching from a nearby building with a high-powered camera and audio recording equipment. In Hawthorne's office, surrounded by symbols of American military power, Mary confronted her former mentor. "Richard, I know about the recent murders. Rodriguez, Williams, Foster. You had them killed to protect your arms-dealing operation." Hawthorne didn't deny it. "Mary, you always were too smart for your own good." "Yes, I've been conducting business with international clients. And yes, I've had to eliminate security risks. It's all about national interests." "National interests? You're selling American weapons technology to terrorists. I'm selling to the highest bidder. Sometimes that's our allies, sometimes it's not. But the money funds black operations that keep America safe." Mary realized Hawthorne had completely rationalized his crimes. In his mind, he was a patriot funding covert operations through illegal arms sales. "Richard, you're a traitor, and I'm going to expose you." Hawthorne pressed a button on his desk. "Mary, you're not leaving this building alive." But Mary had one last card to play. "Richard, do you remember what I taught you about military strategy? Always have a backup plan." Sarah Chin's expose hit the internet at exactly 3 p.m. Simultaneously, copies of all evidence were delivered to the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, and congressional oversight committees. The story exploded across social media faster than Hawthorne's damage control team could respond. Mary smiled as she watched Hawthorne's face turn pale. "Richard, you just lost the information war." Security guards burst into the office, but Mary was ready. She had one more surprise, a flash drive containing Hawthorne's confession, recorded during their conversation. "Gentlemen, I surrender. But I think you'll find your boss has some explaining to do." The aftermath was swift and brutal. Hawthorne was arrested within hours. The arms-dealing conspiracy was exposed in all its ugly details. Congressional hearings were scheduled. Multiple agencies launched investigations. Mary Thompson, the retired general who just wanted to tend her roses, had brought down one of the most powerful men in Washington. But as she sat in her hotel room that night, watching the news coverage, Mary knew her fight wasn't over. Hawthorne was just one player in a larger game. There were others, still hidden in the shadows, still selling America's secrets to the highest bidder. Sarah Chin knocked on her door. "General, we did it. Hawthorne is finished." Mary looked at the young journalist with a mixture of pride and concern. "Sarah, this is just the beginning. There are others. The conspiracy is bigger than we imagined. Then we keep fighting." Mary smiled, feeling more alive than she had in years. "Sarah, I didn't survive 35 years in the military to give up now. We keep fighting." And so General Mary Thompson's retirement ended not with a whimper, but with a bang. The suburban grandmother had become a warrior once again, fighting not on foreign battlefields, but in the corridors of power where the real wars are won and lost. This is the epic tale of how a retired general's quiet, golden years exploded into a battle for the soul of American democracy, how buried secrets became weapons of truth, and how a 68-year-old woman proved that some warriors never truly retire. They just choose their battles more carefully.